evening. I'm just sitting here busy reading, doing some self-care, working on my own personal development. Come on, somebody say self-care. Working on my own self-care. Yes, yes, and yes. Looks like I'm aligned all right. We're still doing the vertical. So hang in there with us. We're still trying to work out this vertical that they're asking us to do. Come on in. I see people are getting on the website. People are coming in here. Come on in. So glad to see you. Wonderful to have everyone back on. Woo, what a night. How was last night for you? How was last night? Yes, I'm talking about our session together. Because I received a couple of emails and they were like, last night did it. Last night did it for me. That was a missing piece for me. And it helped me to understand that sometimes I'm seeing things that aren't even there, don't exist, don't have to exist because of feelings. Feelings which are triggered by emotions. And feelings aren't always correct. Okay, I see Ebony has Renee Holly on the screen. Welcome. Just going to small talk you while we come on up in here. Look like we're only, is that 55? Looks like we're only at 55 right now. So I'll just go 2 more minutes, just recapping from last night. Wow. Can anybody say wow about last night? Powerful. My God. Manuel Davis, thank you. He hit us hard. $9.99 for a super. Thank you, sir. Last night was so essential. It was so pivotal. It was right in alignment with what we're doing. I want to thank y'all for letting me gut you out so that now we can see our beauty in the rebuild. We've been gutted out, and I know you felt it. You've been gutted out these 21 nights. And now we can have, I'm trying to fix the t-shirt so that you can see it, but this isn't mirrored correctly. So the side I want to lift, I'm not. But there's beauty in the rebuild. Come on, somebody. Beauty in the rebuild. My. I know you may not feel like it yet, but you're beautiful. You're so handsome. And you're even more, now that you've taken the time and you did this work, you're even more beautiful, even more handsome. You know why? There's just something about renovations. There's just something about renovations. You think something was so beautiful and so nice and you become accustomed to it. And then you see an updated version, a 2.0 version. You see a rebuild, a remodel, and you're like, wow, this can do this now. And all the stuff that used to be on the counter can be in a drawer now. And oh, the beauty in the rebuild. That's tonight's t-shirt. Derek Cranford and his graphic designs, beauty in the rebuild. And that's what we've been doing. And y'all have allowed me to do it. And I thank God for it. I do. It's a beautiful, very pastel blue with the black letters on it. Almost feel like Velcro or velour. What do they call those things? Suede. Okay. We're going to work that. Well, come on in. We want to get started because we got some good work to do tonight. And we have only 7 nights left. Wow. And then next Friday, we will be at the Mark Twain house. And today is Thursday already. My God. And we have, we have 7 chapters left. So we have 7 full sessions and 7 chapters left. So we're going to have a good time together. Welcome. Tonight, we're building boundaries, protecting your peace and healing. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to night 22. Does that sound crazy? Can you believe we've been on here 22 nights together of our understanding and healing from trauma? our series. I'm so glad you're here tonight, and I truly mean it from the core of my heart. As we begin chapter 11, building boundaries. Boundaries are an essential part of protecting your peace, supporting your healing, and ensuring that your relationships and environments align with the person you're becoming. Can somebody put in the chat, beauty in the rebuild? Boundaries are an essential part of protecting your peace, supporting your healing, and ensuring that your relationships and environments align with the person you are becoming. Beauty in the rebuild. Because trauma can blur our sense of boundaries, leaving us feeling overextended. Anybody feel overextended? Because trauma can blur our senses of boundaries, it often leaves us feeling overextended, unsafe, or even undervalued. There we go. Maybe I can see some comments this way. Or even undervalued. That's not a good way to go about life, huh? Tonight, we'll explore what healthy boundaries are, why they are crucial for your healing, and how to set and maintain them in your daily life. Let's take this opportunity to reclaim your personal space, energy, and worth. Last night, if last night really took you to another place, another level, level of enlightenment, awakening, understanding, edification, exhortation. Come on. If last night was that for you, I know everybody has a different night that just does it. It just clicks for them. If last night was your night, I want you to put in the chat about last night. And it may only be 3 or 4 of us, but if it was you, I want you to put in the chat about last night. Because there is a shift in our understanding where we understand that our emotions are going to happen without any accountability, without any explanation. We are not even allowed to pick them. They are automatic. They can be random depending on the situation. However, our feelings, which are triggered from our emotions, are going to correspond. They're going to converse with something from our past. And in conversing with something from our past, they're going to tell us what we should feel in that situation when that may not even be the true feeling of it. And when trauma is involved, it's a whole nother level. Somebody say a whole nother level. So if you're in here with us tonight, can you just go ahead and hit like, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube? And if you are on Facebook, do you mind at the end of the night going on over and hitting a like on YouTube for us? And, you know, those that are on YouTube, maybe go over on Facebook and just say something the end of the night or sometime tomorrow, just about what is happening here. Thank you. The Proverbs 31 woman is Goals podcast. Thank you. May the Lord keep setting us free through the ministry. God bless you. Thank you. And God bless you. 1999 seed she's already sowing into the work. We thank you. I am in the need, especially for those that are on Facebook. If you can go and hit the gifts, I need a gift sent in. When you see the little chat, you'll see a $sign and you should see a gift box. If not, hit the $sign and the gift box may be in there. If someone doesn't mind sending us a jewel, a nice jewel in our crown for this work we're doing, it would bless us mightily. Absolutely. Ebony, can you put that comment that just was up there from Proverbs 31? I want to catch that last statement. That was a good statement. I didn't get a chance to finish reading that. I know the chats go by so fast. Come on in, people. Last night set me free. I want to hear about it. Inbox me, y'all. Send me those testimonies. We have 55 watching on YouTube, but only 18 likes. Can you help me out? Can you help me out, please? Can I get 32 more people to just go and hit like on YouTube for us? May the Lord keep setting us free through this ministry. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Proverbs 31, for sending in your 1999 seed. I appreciate you. Last night, we explored emotional resilience, focusing on understanding emotions and feelings, distinguishing between automatic emotional responses and the personal experiences of feelings. We did our resilience assessment, reflected on how you handle emotions, adapt to challenges, and if you are able or willing to seek support. Every assessment that has been turned in up till this morning was our deadline, has already gotten back their results and with a recommendation on the work that they should be working on for the rest of the year, if not the rest of their life. And of course, tools for growth, emotional awareness practices, grounding techniques, gratitude exercises, and spiritual anchoring. Tonight, we're going to shift to the external and internal work of building boundaries, a critical step in reclaiming control over your life. So, what are boundaries? What are boundaries? I want to read it from the book first, and then I'll go back to my summary. On page 81, chapter 11. Page 81, chapter 11. What are boundaries? Boundaries are the limits you set to define what is acceptable and what is not, both in your interactions with others and in your relationship with yourself. And I'll sing it again. How many of us have them? What are boundaries? Boundaries are the limits. You, not me, not them, you. Boundaries are the limits you set to define what is acceptable and what is not, both in your interactions with others and in your relationship with yourself. They are essential for maintaining emotional, physical, and mental well-being. And I wrote in my book with my trusty, these are the best pens in the world, these G2s, right? With my trusty pink pen, life insurance. Think of it as life insurance. So what are boundaries? I gave the definition straight from the book. Let me go the long version here. Boundaries are the limits you set to define what is acceptable and unacceptable in your relationships, environments, and behaviors. They help you protect your time, energy, emotions, and values while creating space for healthy connections and self-respect. I know a lot of people have been saying, I want greater networks and I want to network with some more business people. I want to network with people who are kind of in the business that I'm in or in the office of my spiritual beliefs. You know, I want to connect with other believers, other evangelists. You know, I want to connect with other prophets. You know, things such as that. But maybe what's actually preventing you from doing that is that you don't have the space for what you think you want. Because you can want things all day and you can say, I don't know why all day. But if you do the work and just do a little research, you're going to find out why. Sometimes we just have not created the space for the things we say we want. And one way of doing that is by creating space for healthy connections and self-respect by creating boundaries. So there's different types of boundaries. There's physical boundaries, which protect your personal space and your physical well-being. An example of a physical boundary, I'm not comfortable hugging strangers. It's just an example of a personal boundary. In the book, on page 83, we talked about physical boundaries, which was number 2. And in the book illustration I gave, physical boundaries protect your personal space and physical body. This might include deciding who can touch you, how much physical space you need, and what environments feel safe. Types of boundaries. Emotional boundaries. Guarding your emotional health by controlling what you share and how you allow others to treat you. An example, I need time to process before discussing this further. Let's see what the book has. Page 83, types of boundaries, emotional boundaries. These boundaries protect your emotional energy by limiting how much emotional labor you're willing to give to others. This might include saying no to conversations that feel overwhelming, not taking on others' emotional burdens, or limiting time with people who drain you emotionally. Types of boundaries, time boundaries, setting limits on how you spend your time to align with your priorities. An example, I can't stay late. I have a personal commitment. Time boundaries. In my book, page 83, number 4, time boundaries ensure that your time is respected. Tell me that ain't good. I don't feel like they respect my time. Well, obviously, they're not even aware that they're not doing it, and they're not even aware that there's a boundary to it. What good is having a boundary if only you know about it? Time boundaries ensure that your time is respected. This might include setting limits on how much time you give to work, friends, or family, and ensuring you have enough time for yourself and your priorities. Time boundary. And lastly, number 4, spiritual boundaries. Protecting your faith. Protecting your faith and spiritual practices. Spiritual boundary. A lot of people need to learn this one because we are quick to give up our spiritual time, our spiritual devotion, our spiritual development, our spiritual practices. People, they don't like that you go to church. They don't like that you're grown in church. They don't like that your choice is Jesus. Nobody's making you. Nobody's brainwashed you. Nobody making you work overtime for Jesus. It's your choice. You know that this is a better life for you. You know what you were like before, and you didn't like it. You know what was coming your way before, and you wanted more. So you chose a better way. And friends and family, loved ones, even employers, co-workers, they will have a problem with your spiritual boundaries. And it is not your job to become frustrated when they don't respect your boundary. Make your boundaries clear. If you're serving in an office or if you're serving in a position in church and people want to rush you out and give you a hard time for always being in church, tell them, respect my spiritual boundaries. I haven't said anything to you about Ronnie, Bobby, Mickey, or Mike. That's what you like to do. This is what I like to do. Now, we have some things in common that we enjoy together, but this is a boundary here. Do not touch my relationship. Do not touch my faith. Do not touch my pastor. Spiritual boundaries. And you have to have them in all relationship. It is important as physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, time boundaries, spiritual boundaries. You should not feel like your heart has to compete for your love of your church, the love of the relationship in your church, or the love of the growth that you're receiving in your church. Your heart should not have competing factors. A spouse, your children, your job, your family. Y'all setting stars in now? I wonder where the stars at now. There should be all kind of Jews coming in here because you know I'm setting you free. There's some people on here tonight that needed to hear this because your heart was drawing you back to Egypt. Those relationships that are blood, they're always going to be there because it's blood. But there needs to be spiritual boundaries. Oftentimes, we allow people to do all the things they want to do. And then when it's time for us to go serve, go lead, go hear a word, go hit revival up, we said revival 3 to 5 times a week. Spiritual boundaries. And everybody knew. Everybody know. When it comes with me, it's a spiritual boundary. Don't try it. Do not try it. You want to end a relationship? This would be the way to do it. I'm not giving this up. This has nursed me, fed me. This has taken me out of deep pits of oppression, depression, despair, loneliness. This right here, this relationship that I have with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, with my church, with my overseer, with my apostle, this is the gift that God has given me that came with the gift of salvation, a new church family. This is my spiritual boundary. Don't cross it. I respect your 36, 28, 36. You know, come on. Some of us have guy friends. This I don't want to hear it. I don't want no passive aggressive remarks from you. I don't want no snide remarks from you, because I will respond with the sword. This is a spiritual boundary. Who am I talking to tonight? Spiritual boundary, protecting your faith and your spiritual practices. An example, I won't participate in activities that go against my beliefs. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care how bad they make you feel. Let me share something with you about the soul. The only time people can make you feel bad about anything, but in particular, what we're talking about now, our relationship with our church and our God, the only time people can make you feel bad about that relationship is, think of Lot's wife. Something else is still in your heart. And there's competing factors, there's competing competitors for your heart and for your love. One is going to win. You can't serve two masters. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about mama and your leader. I'm talking about mama in your church. I'm talking about your brothers, your sisters, your girlfriends. For some, even your spouse. Spiritual boundaries. Digital boundaries and mental boundaries. In the book, page 83, mental boundaries protect your thoughts and opinions. This involves allowing yourself to have your own beliefs and values. Does that go with spiritual boundaries? Mental boundaries protect your thoughts and opinions. This involves allowing yourself to have your own beliefs and values and not letting others dominate or control your thinking. Come on. I don't see any comments up here. Only Ebony. Spiritual boundaries, mental boundaries. What are boundaries essential? Why are boundaries essential for healing? 4 reasons. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why boundaries are essential for your healing. 4. I'll give you the 4, then I'll go back and give you example definitions. First of all, this is at number 1. Boundaries are crucial for your healing journey because they, 1, create safety, 2, protect your energy, 3, foster healthy relationships, and 4, honor your growth. Ain't going back. Moving forward. Boundaries are essential for healing because they create safety. They provide a sense of control of your own life, which trauma often takes away. Secondly, they protect your energy. Boundaries prevent burnout by helping you prioritize what matters most, and then in that order. So if you're talking about burnout, somewhere you lost a sense of your priorities. Number 3, they foster healthy relationships. They encourage mutual respect and ensure that connections are supportive not draining. And number 4, they honor your growth. Boundaries reflect the value you place on your healing and personal development. Boundaries reflect the value you place on your healing and personal development. See, boundaries about you. And maybe you've never had that, or maybe you've never done that before. So let me give you some reflective work. All right. I got someone, Proverbs 31, sent another super in. This is her third, I think, tonight. And she says, me, you are talking to me. Respect my spiritual boundaries. And people will know when you mean it and when you don't. Trust me. So here's our reflective work. What areas of my life currently feels like they need stronger boundaries? What areas? You can come from the 4. And I think I went further in the book, because in the book I did digital boundaries. So I did 5 in the book. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this book, and I'm going to add in there spiritual boundaries. Or you can go from within. I have spiritual boundaries, but I need to strengthen the area of when my loved ones want to pull on my heartstrings and make me feel guilty for going to church. Make me feel guilty for loving my church. Make me feel guilty that I love my leader. You know, they start saying things like, oh, they love the leader more than God. No. You just don't understand love. So because we love our leader who loves us and who is good to us and is at a hand reach to us, and you don't know leadership like that, or you don't even know relationship like that, don't put your mouth over here. Love me enough to believe that if I love this thing, this place, this relationship, this covenant with God, love me enough to know that I'm in the right place doing the right thing. Come on, who else am I talking to? So what areas of your life currently feels like you need stronger boundaries? Anybody putting anything on the screen? Well, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've written 5 things down here for you to think about. Signs you may need stronger boundaries. Come on. I see one woman says, I'm not going to say her name in case she's watching in the house with everybody. My grown children. Boundaries. Oh, that's a hard one too. As soon as I think I've done it with my grown child, I find out, I need a thicker pen. I need to do that line in a Sharpie and not a number 2 pencil. Signs you may need stronger boundaries. Reflect on whether you've experienced any of the following. Are you ready? You often feel overwhelmed or resentful because you say yes too much. It's time for some tea on that one. That woman is the only one that said something, Ebony? Wow. Y'all scared. You often feel overwhelmed or resentful because you say yes too much. The next one, you feel guilty when you prioritize your own needs. A third one, people frequently overstep your comfort zones. People frequently overstep your comfort zones. Number 4, you avoid conflict or difficult conversations to keep the peace. Come on, Prophet Mike. You avoid conflict. You're not confrontational. It doesn't mean aggressive, doesn't mean you start trouble, doesn't mean you like arguments. People of conflict don't like arguments. That's why people who are confrontational don't like arguments. That's why they try to confront things head on immediately before it builds to that place. Mental and emotional boundaries I am working on. Very good, Shayna. Thank you. And the last one, these are the signs that you may need stronger boundaries. You feel emotionally drained after certain interactions. If any of these resonate, it's a sign that setting or reinforcing boundaries could benefit your well being. So, how to build healthy boundaries? I'm going to give you 5 steps. You're going to put one foot in front of the other until you're walking out that door. 5 steps. Number 1. Are y'all keeping up with me tonight? Am I going too fast? Prophet Mike, yep. Constance, this subject has my name wrapped all up in it. It does for all of us too. But some of us are sitting with people that we need to set boundaries with. So we're just like, we're trauma responding and we're all in the fawn in the freeze. We're not even saying, ain't this lesson good? I tried to avoid conflict. Thank you, Yolanda, for sending in your super. Appreciate you. 5 steps to build your healthy boundaries. Reflect on your needs. Numero uno. Number 1, reflect on your needs. Identify what makes you feel safe, respected, and valued. How do I figure that out? Good question. With your journal. And you should journal, start at the top of the page with a question like this. What do I need to feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually supported? And then fill in that notebook sheet. At the top of your page, how to build healthy boundaries. And number 1, reflect on your needs. So your journal prompt, what do I need to feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually supported? And you could say today or this month. It's January. We started a new year. What do I need to feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually supported this year? And write. Number 2, communicate clearly. Use I statements to express your boundaries without blame. You cross the boundary. You do this all the time. I'm tired of you always doing this to me. I'm tired of you not respecting me. Nope, it doesn't work like that. I need some quiet time after work to recharge. I need time to read. I need a day to myself. Whatever it is, clearly communicate your boundaries without blaming other people. Number 3, start small. Begin with one boundary in any area of your life that feels manageable. An example, I will set a time limit for phone calls that feel draining. And if you work with people or you have a staff, you better, this right here, you should send in a jewel just for this one right here. I will set a time limit for phone calls that feel draining. Number 4, stay consistent. Pop that up in the chat for me. Stay consistent. We're talking about how to build healthy boundaries. Stay consistent. Boundaries require reinforcement. If someone tests your limits, kindly but firmly restate them. An example could be, as I mentioned before, I'm not available to discuss this during my work hours. As I mentioned before, dot, dot, dot. And they're going to say, you never mentioned this before. Or what are you being sarcastic now? No. Well, maybe I failed to clearly communicate a boundary that I now have. So I'm going to mention it now. And then proceeding times, as I mentioned before, dot, dot, dot. Are y'all with me tonight? I need to see some comments. Where are these people at? I need to feel this energy from y'all. Are you here tonight? Says 78 watching. Reflect your needs. Making statements like, what do I need to feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually supported? Clearly communicate. I need, dot, dot, dot. That's creating your boundary. Number 3, start small. I will set time limits for phone calls that feel draining. I will, dot, dot, dot. That's how you start small. Number 4, I said stay consistent. As I mentioned before, there's also a statement that was going around. Let me be clear. That's making clear a statement that was said or maybe have not been said clearly. Let me be clear this time. I'm not going to blame you this time. I'm going to take responsibility. Maybe I didn't clearly communicate my boundary. So let me be clear. And then the second time you may say something like, as I mentioned before. All right, Demisha says she's here. I don't know what the rest of y'all doing. All right, Danielle, come on. I'm with you tonight. Thank you, Shayna. Number 5, accept discomfort. Thank you, Kingly Priest. Marquita, okay, y'all with me. A little too quiet for me. I like an amen congregation. Accept discomfort. If you are going to give yourself a gift of boundaries on this year or re-strengthening your boundaries on this year, you're going to have to accept discomfort. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, 1000%. And it may take you a year, 2 years, 3 years, if you're used to people pleasing, to really get these boundaries set, especially if you're used to people pleasing. Remember, your peace is worth it. Can someone pop that in the chat for me, please? My peace is worth it. How to build healthy boundaries. So let's talk about our soul detox for tonight. Our soul detox is releasing guilt around boundaries, getting rid of that guilt. Remember, we learned earlier in the season that guilt is a gift because it keeps us accountable, but it can also be used against us. That's the perversion of guilt. Many people feel guilty when they begin setting boundaries, especially with loved ones. Tonight's Soul Detox will help you release that guilt and embrace the truth that boundaries are an act of self-respect. So we got to take some time now for a reflection exercise. Okay? Releasing guilt. Write down one boundary you feel guilty about setting. Write down one boundary you feel guilty about setting. You know, Peyton said something to me and it just struck me. It stayed with me. And then she repeated it this year already, but she said it maybe a year ago. And I had to like go over myself and think, you know, how deep was this statement? Am I messing up? You know, how is she perceiving this? But she said to me, she had asked me, and she said, Mima, can so-and-so come over? Yes. She says, you know, Mima, you never say no. And I looked, I said, what? She said, you always say yes. My friends even say it. We always ask you last when we want to do things because they're parents. You never know which way it's going to go. But we all know if we need a ride, Mima's going to be the one to take us. If one friend needs to be picked up, Mima will be the one to pick up the friends. If somebody's got to be dropped off, Mima's going to drop them off. If we all want to sleep over, you always say yes, no matter how many kids it is. And I was like, so what does that say to you? She's like, I don't know. I just know you always say yes. And so when she left the room, I was like, oh, shucks. Did I mess up somewhere? What is this yes saying to her? What am I setting her up for? And I had to reevaluate some things and ask her some questions to find out, does she feel disciplined? Because she has to feel disciplined. Discipline is part of making a healthy adult. And she felt disciplined, and I asked her to give me some answers. Then I said, do you feel spoiled when I say yes all the time? Am I giving you too much where you don't know how to take a no from me? And we talked about these boundaries because the boundaries that I set up, I'm also teaching her how to carry in life with her children, her relationships, and her friends. And no spoiled person admits they're spoiled because spoiled people just want more and more and more. They never think they're spoiled. I went through it with my son. I got an A in it. Believe me, I know what I did. And she was like, yeah, you get on me. And then she took it a whole nother level. She says, I'm scared of you. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So I think we got some balance going on here. But and just to clear the air so there's no misconceptions, I believe that I say yes all the time because she's an only child. She has no one to play with. And for me, if she wants a friend to come over, that's less talking to me. So they want a friend. They want Ebony. You're getting me. I see you clapping your hands. You want company. You want a friend. You want pizza. You want to go to the Henny Penny and get a bunch of junk food. Whew, if I could get 3-4 hours while you're with someone else, hallelujah. Especially if it's in our house, I don't have to worry about whose house you're in. If there's any creeps over there, what kind of stuff may be going on in that house. Oh, I'm all for it. And they're always like, we always get to go to your house. Yep. It's a safekeeping, honey, because she's not staying over yours. And that's just something that was passed down to me. So I share that just to tell you, listen to what people say to you and use it as a reflection to find out, am I showing up as if I don't have a boundary? Is there not a boundary there? And this is a lesson for me. Listen to the things people say to you. And even more importantly, watch the actions that they display to you. And you'll be able to tell if you have boundaries that are missing or they need to be strengthened, reinforced, or maybe even restated. Are we all right here? So again, you're going to feel uncomfortable with your boundaries. I feel you on that one. I need some time when you get your time. Yes, amen. So write down one boundary you feel guilty about setting. So I guess mine might be the one I just shared with y'all, that I feel guilty if I wouldn't let her have friends because she's in the house by herself all the time. So maybe that would be mine for tonight. So let's see where I want to hit at. Oh yeah, I forgot we want to do that too. Good. Part of our soul detox tonight, we're going to make a map. And you can make it as messy as you want. But let me get you to it. Hang on one second. Our reflection exercise is releasing guilt. Write down one boundary you feel guilty about setting. Example, I feel guilty about saying no to family events, even when I'm exhausted or have spiritual priorities. Number 2, challenge the guilt. Ask yourself, is this guilt serving me or is it keeping me stuck? And then if you're ready to challenge the guilt, let me give you an affirmation. This is an affirmation I want you to write down. I want you to repeat it whenever you need to, when you need to challenge yourself because of guilt that you're carrying. Setting boundaries is a way to honor my well-being and show respect for myself and others. Affirmation. Setting boundaries is a way to honor my well-being, and show respect for myself and others. Recite these affirmations that I give you each night in each area where you are challenging yourself to grow and develop, and especially in releasing guilt. So here's our soul work for tonight. Are we ready? It's 8:48. We're doing pretty good. For those that's listening to it in the future on the replay, I hope that you take the time to do this as well. I want you to think of a map. You can think of the map of the world or the map of the United States of America. I want you to think of a map. And I want you to create a map with water in between the different either continent, nations, if we're just going to stick with thinking about America, between the different states. I want you to make sure that there's water lines drawn between the different states. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to identify key areas. So in the map, you know how you just make little like squiggly circles? I want you to do that on a piece of paper. And pretend, you got California over here. You got Seattle, Washington up there. You got New England over on the other side. You have Florida, Texas down on the bottom. I want you to think of a map. And I want you to put in those different places that would have represented states. And I want you to put down there key areas in your life, like relationships, work, time, emotions, spiritual life. You could put family life, quiet time. So when all these wannabe states on this map that we're making, put in these key areas in these areas on your map. And once you get started on that, I want you to begin to write down your boundary areas. What separates each state or each key area from the other? Boundaries. How do you know when you've crossed the California line? How do you know when you've crossed from the different time zone? Eastern, Mountain, what is the other ones? Pacific. How do you know when you cross these boundaries of time? There's boundary lines in them. So I want you to write down what separates these key areas from the other. Let me give you an example. For relationships, I won't tolerate being spoken to disrespectfully. That's just an example. For a work key area, I won't answer calls after 6 p.m. And draw your boundary line in there. Erase it, strengthen it, whatever you have to do over time. And then for your time boundary area, your key area of time, I'll reserve one evening a week for self-care. I'll reserve one evening a week for self-care. What separates states on a geographical map should be similar to what separates key areas of your life on your boundary map. And write in what is the line that separates them? What is the boundary that separates these key areas so you can be clear? When you've allowed someone to violate your boundary, or you yourself have violated your own boundary, and you may have allowed someone to violate the boundary. That's 2 strikes. Step 3, plan how to communicate each boundary. Plan how to communicate each boundary. Example, practice phrasing your boundary in a clear, kind, and firm way. I have clients where I spend a whole session with them working on boundaries. We role play because they think they got, oh, I can do this with no problem. You sure? What about when the kids come? No problem. What about when your mother comes? No problem at all. So I'll be the antagonizer of their boundary. And we'll spend a whole session doing it. And then they'll come back on next month and say, ooh, I failed. Yeah. So practice phrasing your boundary in a clear, kind, but firm way. How do we do that? Let's do a reflection exercise. Boundaries and healing. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for your super. Boundaries and healing. Take a moment to reflect on these questions. Let me give you 3 questions. Number 1, where have I struggled to set boundaries in the past, and how has it impacted me? I'm frustrated. I don't want to do anything because I got so overwhelmed and so disgusted. Every time I want to do something for me, all these people want to need stuff and want to need me. Boundary. Where have I struggled to set boundaries in the past, and how has it impacted me? Number 2, what boundary would feel the most freeing to set right now? Ooh, come on. I hear y'all. I hear you. I hear you in the realm of the spirit. What boundary would feel the most freeing to set right now? And number 3, how can I remind myself that boundaries are essential for my healing? I had to open up my screen. I got to see y'all comments. All right, Leah Shaw. Carmen Crespo, come on, talk to me. It impacted me because I shrink down at times. Very honest, vulnerable statement. Let me help you with that this year. Make it happen. You know, a boundary also is setting up a boundary so that you get what you need. The woman with the issue of blood, she did not allow Jesus to go by her because his armor bearers, his apostles, his disciples were blocking the crowd away. She violated their boundary, got to the Savior, and got what she needed. That wasn't his boundary, that was their boundary. This soul work gonna take me a minute. No, 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 no. We're gonna work together, okay? We're gonna do this together. Come on. What boundary would feel the most freeing right now? Come on, Rochelle. Yeah, last night and tonight, man, it's taking us both out. And then number 3, our reflection exercises, boundaries and healing. Number 3, how can I remind myself that boundaries are essential for my healing? Come on, Pastor D. Did you hear that statement? Yes, Renee. It is definitely a replay a couple times. Please remember to check me out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Audible. You can even download the book in an Audible version, and you can also hear the lives and how I expanded even more on the book. The book is a template, but I can't give it all away. Otherwise, you won't need sessions. We'd all do our own work, right? And you need accountability. Number 3 was, how can I remind myself that boundaries are essential for my healing? Pastor D, I'm speaking specifically to you on that one. Write your reflections in your journal or share them in the comments if you feel comfortable. So let's hit the biblical coaching part of this. Do you know that God has boundaries? Did you know that God has boundaries? Even God sets boundaries to protect us and guide us towards what is best. Yes, he has boundaries for himself. He started right with the Garden of Eden. As soon as Adam and Eve messed up, he put that cherub there, that angel there, and he set a boundary immediately for them. Even God sets boundaries to protect us and guide us towards what is best. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. I bet you didn't think of this as a boundary before. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. All right, Pastor D, I see your comment. Proverbs 4:23 reads, above all else, guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart. And then let's not even, because we quote it right there often. Let's start at the beginning. Above all else, guard your heart. Put a boundary, because everything you do is going to flow from that heart. Boundaries are an act of guarding your heart and aligning your life with God's purpose. With God's purpose. I want to go to the book for a moment. Page 85. I want to lift this part up because I know everyone's reading the book on their own, right? So when we come together tonight, I can summarize it like this, spend some time elaborating from more than what's on the pages, right? You all are doing the book yourself and you're doing your exercises yourselves at home. Is that what we're doing? Let me hear from you. I wanted to lift this off of the book because I know it's very important. That's why I took the time to put it in here on page 85. Let me stay in this little vertical camera. On page 85, number 5. All right. Thank you, Chevelle, for sewing a super. She needs boundaries in every part of her life. Yes, you do. We all do. Absolutely. Good. Pastor D said, yes, she's reading a book. What did Tasha Young say? Special. Vanessa says yes. Are we reading the book at home is my question, and doing the work, and then we can come in here and talk about it together. Good. Special said yes too. Okay, good. You see, I keep itching myself. I went into the Sephora today, and thanks, Anna. And if anybody knows me, I can play in some makeup. And you know, they talk about me, especially when I first went with Elder Joy and Elder Lisa. I mean, I will come out with a different eyeshadow on each eye. A top lip will have one lipstick color, another one. Like I just go all in. And one time we went to eat afterwards and I forgot. And the people were looking at me like, oh, so creative. And I was like, oh my goodness. Well, tonight I was trying on a lot of perfumes and one of them has bothered me. So it's got my nose itching, my face is itching. So that's why I keep rubbing like, oh, like a spider web is on me. I'm very, very sensitive, but you wouldn't know it by the things I do. I'm a rough chick. You with me? Page 85, number 5. Respect others' boundaries. Just as you expect others to respect your boundaries, it's important to respect theirs. If someone communicates a boundary to you, honor it without taking offense. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect for each other's limits. Did you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Because see, we're equipping, but sometimes we get real high and mighty in this equipping. Read it. Did anybody have this highlighted in their book? Probably not, right? Did anybody have this highlighted in their own book? Respect the boundaries of others. Just as you expect others to respect your boundaries, it's important to respect theirs. If someone communicates a boundary to you, honor it without taking offense. Come on, type this up in the chat. Healthy relationships, healthy relationships, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect for each other's limits. Honor without offense. Come on, I said a whole lot right there. Ebony, let me see some comments up on the screen. Honor without offense. And then I give you a whole list there. We don't have to do that. You have your workbook. All right. Leah says, Selah. On page 87, you have all your homework that you need to do. I want to read the ending. Yeah, it is. But if you understand how important boundaries are to you, Nanita, focus on that so that you can understand why they need the boundaries. And that should take the personal, emotional thing out of it. Because remember, when something hurts you, an emotion is released, but it's the feeling that's telling you why you are having this emotion from taking offense from what they said. So I'm just going to throw something really crazy out there, okay? Let's just say someone, they weren't rude or mean, but they were firm but kind on their boundary, and it offended you. Was the feeling offense and the emotion was just shocked? So if you were shocked by their firm but kindness regarding the boundary, could the feeling be because your mother used to talk down to you? So when people stand to correct you, your feeling runs back to a prior memory to bring to your consciousness in that moment that they're talking to you like your mother talked to you? I'm just throwing this one out there because this is big in sessions with clients. You got to learn that last night, we really got to work hard on that as well. Feelings and emotions. The emotion is automatic, but the feeling can be chosen. You don't have to feel offended. It's a choice. Pick another feeling. Because I realized that the feeling reminded me of how my mother talked to me, how my father talked to me, how my ex-wife or my ex-husband treated me. So you are feeling the sting of that. Am I helping y'all tonight? Wow, people pleasing has really messed up my life. I just thought about a nail appointment that I didn't want a certain color, and I even feel like I couldn't say no. I don't like that color. Wow, I've been there before too. I've had people, I paid for things that I didn't want because I couldn't say no. My mom was a people pleaser and raised me as a little girl that way. And it took me years of work to break that. Tony, I cannot tolerate when someone says, oh, he or she doesn't mean anything by it. That's just how they are. That's offensive also. Yeah. But where's your boundary if someone talks to you disrespectfully? So you got to make sure that they're not violating a boundary while they're instituting their boundary. And you could say something like, oh, I see you have a boundary there, but I think I would hear you better if you leave the tone out of it. And they might get nasty, but guess what? What did I say a little while ago? You're going to have to be prepared to accept discomfort. You're going to have to accept discomfort. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you are used to people pleasing. Remember, your peace is worth it. So kindly let them know. I see there's a boundary there. Forgive me. But I would receive it, recognize it, or hear it better if your tone wasn't in it. Because you violating their boundary could have triggered them, where they have been so violated all of their life that they come out aggressive. And you're like, oh, you're not putting your whole day, your whole life's problems on me. Y'all all right? The fact that I don't know my boundaries is definitely the reason why I tend to have issues with my relationship. Well, come and work with us. We would love to work with you. I promise you results. Moving forward, page 88. Setting boundaries and practicing self-care are essential components of trauma recovery. By protecting your emotional space and nurturing yourself regularly, you create the conditions for deep, lasting healing. Star this part. Remember that boundaries are not about pushing others away, but about creating space for yourself to heal, grow, and thrive. As you move forward, keep these key principles in mind. Boundaries are a form of self love. Boundaries are ongoing. Self care supports boundaries. Boundaries improve relationships. Give yourself permission to say no. And the most powerful way to protect your energy is to set boundaries. It's okay to say no to things that drain you, overwhelm you, or don't align with your priorities. Saying no does not make you selfish. It allows you to focus on what truly matters and take care of yourself in the process. As you move forward, continue to prioritize your self care and uphold the boundaries that support your emotional health. This will help you create a life where you feel safe, empowered, and capable of nurturing your well being. Boundaries and self care are key to maintaining the balance you've worked hard to achieve on your healing journey. Embrace them as essential tools for your ongoing growth and happiness. That was page 89. And we finished boundaries tonight. And tomorrow we're going to start chapter 12, reconnecting with your inner self. Because you've allowed me to gut you. I gutted all of that out. And I slowly started putting things back together. And tonight, it's the beauty of the rebuild. It's the beauty in the rebuild. Now we are rebuilding you the way you would have wanted to be if you knew then what you know now. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the wisdom and strength to set boundaries that protect my peace and honor my healing. Help me to communicate them clearly, enforce them with love, and trust that you are guiding me towards the relationships and environments that align with your will. In Jesus' name, amen. Tonight, we've begun exploring the importance of building boundaries and how they create safety and support for healing. Tomorrow, we are going to start chapter 12, reconnecting with our inner self and focusing on maintaining boundaries and navigating all of the challenges that led us back to the beauty of the rebuild. Thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you for your courage in exploring this important topic. Remember, boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about honoring yourself and creating space for healthy, supportive relationships. You are worthy of protecting your peace and prioritizing your well-being. If you'd like guidance in creating or reinforcing boundaries, we are here to help you. Visit us at www.suzannemhoward.com or message me to learn more about coaching opportunities. Rest well tonight, knowing you're taking steps to create a life of balance, respect, and healing. And I'll see you tomorrow night for night 23. Please, if you haven't done so already, send us a jewel. We need a gift sent in of a jewel of any amount. But please do not let this night, if you know you have been blessed, please don't rob us of a like. Please don't rob us of a superstar, a super chat. But what we're asking for from these 3 nights, starting on last night, we're asking for a jewel to be sent in. Would you do that for us, please? I appreciate you. And I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. God bless you. and good night.